Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is Let's Talk Movies, and I'm Jason Connell. On the show today, I'm joined by special guest, Sal Rodriguez.
Thank you, Jason. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you back, sir. As always. So we are breaking down a movie, Sal, that we set up a while back because we did the original, and this is the sequel, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, 1990.
I forgot it was in the 90s.
Rewatched. Yeah. Left the 80s.
Wow.
Came out in the 90s.
Big deal. That's a big deal, I think.
Huge deal. I'm going to bring the poster up for those watching on YouTube. Bloop. There it is.
Nice.
So I really enjoyed our just rewatched of Gremlins. I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and it really held up. I enjoyed it thoroughly. You had seen it, I think, before I even saw it. But revisiting the movie, I'd forgotten how kind of dark and twisted it was. It wasn't this like kid romper movie. There was a lot in there. Like, wow, they're really killing these gremlins. The gremlins are trying to kill them, and so it's masquerading as a Christmas movie at the same time, and it's really good. I mean, Joe Dante, Steven Spielberg producing. So of course that came out years prior. I believe the original came out in '84, if I'm not mistaken.
The year of the Karate Kid.
The year of the Karate Kid. So the problem is sometimes, and I think Joe Dante spoke to this when I listened to the commentary, because I heard the commentary from Gremlins and the sequel, was the fact that it just took too long for it to come out. You know, you miss that window, and that happens a lot. It's like, oh yeah, we should do a movie. And it's like, oh, it kind of missed its, maybe this should have been in the 80s, right? It probably should have been like 88, 89. Or even 87.
Look, you know, Jason, to reference Karate Kid again, I mean, they started working, in 2 weeks?
Well, yeah, 10 days after the movie hit the theater, they're in production for the sequel. And
there
the
you
sequel
go.
Comes out 2 years later. Yeah, maybe it should have come out in 86, 87, actually. It's a little bit more, you know, on our subconscious. And then 6 years, kids are no longer kids. And, you know, I remember sequel comes out. Was I interested? No. It caught me at the right time, the first one. By the time the sequel came out, I tuned out. I finally watched it years later, forgot it. I rewatched it recently, and here's the verdict. I actually kind of enjoyed it. You know, it's not as good as the original, but I've kind of been going down this rabbit hole of, well, I'm always watching older classic movies, but I've been watching some sequels to see if those hold up. Like Romancing the Stone, Sophia and I watched it recently. I've always loved that movie. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Put on Jewel of the Nile. I do not remember seeing a movie this bad in a while. Like it's so bad. It's like, what happened? And that's not the first time. So Gremlins 2, it's like, yeah, it's a different thing, which is important to kind of stand out from the original.
Yes.
And they took it there. They went to this next level. And I remember hearing Joe Dante speak. He's like, he didn't want to do the sequel, and he agreed to do it if they let him do whatever he wanted. And that's what he said, and that's what he did.
Citizen Kane.
Yeah, Citizen Kane. I'm going all Citizen Kane here. So we'll go through our usual beats. Before we go any further, though, I believe, like last time, we have a visitor amongst us, Sal.
Oh, yes. This is actually one of my prized possessions. And what I mean by that is every collector has, like, if I ever had a fire sale, this will be like one of the last to go. And that is.
Please tell us who that is.
This is a beautiful stripe. Well, I'd love to call it an action figure, but some may call it a doll. Some people may call it a doll. Depends on who you talk to.
The collectible. It's an action figure.
Definitely, it is a collectible toy made into the image and likeness of Stripe. It's got the wonderful mohawk. Wait a second. Is it? Yeah, that's his name, Stripe, right? Okay.
I always wanted to call him Spike.
Yes.
I thought it was more appropriate, but
why? Why do I want to? It's a Mandela.
I pulled a Mandela, and I really thought it was Spike.
It's a Mandela.
So, tell us how tall he is. You know, how tall is he? Is he 12 inches? It looks pretty tall.
Well, the thing of it is, he's kind of squatted down a little bit. You know, his knees are bent.
Yeah.
So he would be even taller. I'd say he'd be about a good 14 inches tall. Otherwise, he's actually, you know what? He's probably about 13 inches tall now with the bent legs. It would be about 15 inches tall if his legs were straight.
Do the
so
arms
he's definitely
move?
a sizable. There is some movement here.
Okay.
Yes, there is some movement at the shoulder. There's some movement at the hips. And that is all.
Wow.
You have it would essentially be 4 points of articulation. Let's see the head. Yeah, and the head moves. There we
Oh
go. So
man.
5 points of articulation because that's the neck. That's each arm. That's 3. That's each hip. That's 5 points of articulation. And wrist. The wrist also move. I just realized. So 5,
Yeah.
6, 7 points of articulation. And that is it. Yeah. So 7 points of articulation on this beautiful striped action figure. I feel like I'm on Home Shopping
Yeah, you
Channel.
do.
You need to
You
buy.
look like it.
You need to
Well,
we for just 4 easy payments of $29.95.
well, here's the rub. Spike Stripe is not in Gremlins 2, the new batch.
What?
It is the new batch. And
Oh,
he died. Sorry, buddy. In the original.
oh, he's sad. He's
But
sad.
he can hang out with us.
Look, he's walking.
He's out.
Walking out.
He's out. Stage exit left. And you also have somewhere. Oh no, you can put him behind you. Or you can put him in frame.
You know what? Maybe I can put him here.
Yeah. You have a Gizmo who is in this movie, but you can't get access to him because it's like it's a house of cards over there. It's dominoes. You pull Gizmo out and everything comes to, crashing down. So
Jason, I'm about to disappoint you even further because not only do I have some gizmos and a few other cute mogwai. I do. I also have. I know. I'm mad at myself. I also have Spider Gremlin.
You do?
I do have Spider Gremlin.
Where are all these things?
Well, unfortunately for this episode, I just kept thinking of Stripe, and I forgot about Spider until we watched. Until I watched the trailer. Then I was like, "Oh no, Spider Gremlin! I have Spider Gremlin," and he is sought after. He is a sought after collectible made by NECA.
From another time we'll do this. We'll save this. But so you mentioned Mogwai, which is the word which Gremlins. Well, Gremlins is the name of the movie, and Gremlins are like little demons. But a Mogwai means devil, demon, or gremlin in Chinese Cantonese. So it's kind of confusing. At least I thought when I revisited Gremlins, I thought, okay, so Gizmo's so cute. We love him. He's a Mogwai. But the movie's not called Mogwai because it would have been hard, clunky. It's called Gremlins. So then, a Mogwai turns into a evil version when they eat after midnight, right? They just turn into what Stripe is.
Yep.
They turn more grotesque and they just look more menacing. So then it's like, are they still Mogwais but evil, or are they Gremlins now? Kind of vague there, because whatever. There's that.
It's like a Jekyll and Hyde.
It's Jekyll and Hyde. And if you get wet, if a Mogwai gets wet, if they're good or evil, they get wet, more of their state is born, if you will.
Oh.
So when Gizmo gets water on him in both movies, more of the cutesy ones come out. They may not be perfectly him, like a copy of a copy. Yeah. Or Stripe jumps in a pool in the first movie and makes a ton of the meaner Mogwais.
Yes.
So great scene. And again, the first movie, I highly recommend it, but we're delving into the sequel. And so here's the synopsis for the sequel. The Gremlins are back, and this time they've taken control of a New York City mogul's high-tech skyscraper. Okay, so they're in the big city, Sal. They're in the Big Apple. They're no longer in this little town, little Mayberry, Pleasantville. No, they've made their way to New York City.
It reminds me of Jason Takes Manhattan.
Jason Takes Manhattan. Home Alone 2, he's in New York. Like, everybody's got to wind up in the Big Apple at some point in time. Crocodile Dundee goes to the Big Apple. Like, it's just what you did in the 80s and 90s. Where are we going to go? We got to go there. The Muppets took Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, the Muppets.
So it was a theme, or a trope, as you might add.
Yes.
You love that.
It was.
So
it was.
The release date, June 15th. 1990, so summer movie, genre, comedy, fantasy, horror. I love it. I love that they got horror in there. I know you're a huge horror fan, and that's why you're on this episode, also to complete the 2-pack. Now, quickly, because we've done this before, but let's just run through the players, because a lot of them are the same, and there's a lot of returning cast members mixed with some newbies. But I'll just go through this quickly. Produced again, Steven Spielberg. Anything he touched, definitely in this time, hits. Yeah. We all know that. We don't have to go to
Back to the Future era.
Yeah, which again he just produced, didn't direct it. He produced Poltergeist. So just Steven Spielberg, the producer.
Wow.
made hits.
I forget about the movies that he did not direct and that he produced. I forget.
Yeah, and why he produced is because he couldn't take all these commitments on. You go off and film Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can't also direct, but I want to produce and then get the right. So it wasn't like it was just there's only one Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
And that's why. And so he was involved. So if his name was on it, you can believe that he's going to give some time and some guidance, because we talked about this last episode on the Gremlins, was the fact that the script by Chris Columbus, who went on to become a great director, and I'll get into his credits in just a moment, in the original, Gizmo becomes Stripe. So Gizmo's gone. He goes dark and he's Stripe, but they being Spielberg, said, you know what? After I've gone over this again and again and again, the audience needs someone to hang on to. He's so cute. Keep him alive. And it was a stroke of genius.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd taken Gizmo away, we would have lost him. And yeah, you're not as connected. Yeah. So that's the type of stuff that he would do.
You got to root for somebody.
You got to root for somebody. And the actual people, they're not as dynamic.
Well, they're not as cute as...
They're not, definitely not as cute. So again, directed by Joe Dante, who Spielberg sought after and got him. And his credits they range as well. But The Burbs, a fun, dark comedy. Inner Space, Explorers, Twilight Zone. He did one of the segments of Twilight Zone, the movie. So did Spielberg. So did John Landis. Yes. And then, of course, The Howling, which I know you like.
Oh, I love The Howling. In fact, I was just thinking there is a parallel with the transformation scene in The Howling, similar to a transformation scene. I think if it was Gremlins or Gremlins 2, one of the movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We talked.
It harkens to The Howling, I think.
And then I mentioned Chris Columbus. So he wrote Gremlins. I think he was still at NYU Film School. He also wrote 9 Months, Young Sherlock Holmes, and then he went on to become a well-known director. He did 2 of the Harry Potter movies. He also directed 9 Months, Mrs. Doubtfire, Home Alone, huge movie, Adventures in Babysitting. So here's a guy that was, gets a script plucked, it becomes a movie, and he's got the goods, and he becomes a name himself. Wow. The writer for this movie, though, also was co-written. It wasn't just Columbus. They brought on a second writer, Charles S. Haas. I looked at his credits. He was also a writer on Tex, which I love that movie, filmed in Tulsa, Oklahoma, starred Matt Dillon, Emilio Estevez. And it was written what came off of a book. The screenplay was written from a book by S.E. Hinton. S.E. Hinton wrote The Outsiders and Rumblefish, and that was Then This Is Now. She's a Tulsan, and that's how those movies wound up in Tulsa. So really cool. I didn't know that until today. So I was like, wow. He also wrote the movie Matinee with Jim Carrey, which is a really fun movie.
Oh, yes.
No, not Jim Carrey. That's not Matinee.
No, you're thinking of
the Marquee. That was a different movie. That's sorry.
There's a movie with Jim Carrey where he's at a movie theater.
My fault. Yeah. This is the one with John Goodman.
Mandela Effect.
No, this is one with John Goodman. My fault. He owns a theater and he tries to enhance the theater, and sorry. But anyway, so I didn't know that until today that this was co-written. And again, the composer was again the famous, well-known, well-established Jerry Goldsmith. Oh. Rest in peace. Passed away July 21st, 2004 at 75. This guy, Sal, had 18 Oscar nominations. I know I mentioned this in the last episode, but only one win, which is kind of crazy, for The Omen, 1976, an eerie score. Oh, yeah. And he did other movies, and I'll just quickly rattle off a few. LA Confidential, Basic Instinct, Hoosiers, incredible score. Poltergeist, speaking of, Star Trek the movie, Chinatown, Patton, Planet of the Apes, and so many more. That's crazy. I mean, really?
Oh, to know that you had a part in such historic films. I'd be like walking around telling people.
Oh, the name of that Jim Carrey movie was The Majestic.
There we go.
Yeah, but Matinee is a fun movie nonetheless.
Yes.
Now, the original creature designer, we talked about him as well, is Chris Walas. He designed Gizmo and other Gremlins, and he was the Oscar winner for creating The Fly, which is called?
Oh, Brundlefly.
Brundlefly, 1986.
Not cute.
Not cute, no. He also did the design for Enemy Mine, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So well known, well established. So those are all the returning crew.
Yeah.
Okay, plus the newbie and Haas. So here's the cast from the original movie. Zach Galligan is back playing Billy Peltzer in Gremlins, Waxwork, Madness in the Method, which I don't even know. Phoebe Cates is back. Yay, Phoebe Cates. She plays Kate
Yes.
Berenger. Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Yes.
Gremlins, Drop Dead Fred. Key Luke, he plays Mr. Wing. And the original, he was the grandfather. There's no grandson in this one, so now he gets a name, and he's Mr. Wing. Now, rest in peace. We lost Key Luke January 12th in 1991 at 86, but he is fantastic. He's in so many of the Charlie Chan movies.
Yes.
He was in a great Woody Allen movie named Alice, but loved him. So he does reprise his role a little bit in the beginning. Dick
Jason, wasn't he
Miller.
also Kung Fu?
Well, I can't say that. I didn't have that written down because there's already enough,
Thought
but
he
you
was in
could
Kung
be
Fu.
right there, Sal. We may have to look that up. I'm not disputing that, or if I have a moment, I may. Okay, you got me. You got me looking now. You got me looking.
I thought he plays David Carradine's sensei.
I think you're right. It is. That's him. Good job.
Nice.
I thought I had that written down, but it was. Let me write that here. Yeah. Good job. Kung Fu. That's going to be the basis for the Miyagi-Do show that we want to see. So,
Yes, exactly. The predecessor.
the predecessor. So quickly going through more. Dick Miller is back as Mr. Futterman. He's fantastic. We did lose Dick Miller January 30th, 2019 at 90, but he's in movies like Piranha, The Terminator, Schwarzenegger blows him away in the pawn shop, The Burbs. So great. He's coming back in this movie. He's hilarious. Also in this, oh no, he's not Howie Mandel is back as
Nice.
Gizmo, which
Oh
we
yeah, I
all
always
love.
forget about that.
He's so good at it. I
Wow.
have to say, he really is.
You know what? I almost feel like this deserves a meme to be thrown out there,
Mm.
reminding everyone that Howie Mandel did the voice of Gizmo. I think people have forgotten that.
People probably forgot. They probably forgot. Rambo. He's really cute, and
That's
he's
nice.
watching Rambo in the movie. And also, just a quick mention: Jackie Johnson plays Sheila Futterman, Dick's wife, and she's back. So it's kind of cool. They brought this couple back, and I'll tell you how this all goes down later. But she's in Little Shop of Horrors, Gremlins, of course, and Small Soldiers. So here's who's new to the franchise, if I can call it a franchise.
Sure.
John Glover. Now you may know him. He always like a smarmy bad guy. And this is not really, he has some redeeming qualities. He tried out for uh, the Karate Kid and was almost John Kreese, but he's not
Wow.
quite as big and menacing as Kreese, as my God, what's his name? Help me out here.
Martin Cove.
Martin Cove, thank you. I have all these notes in front of me. I'm like, Cove has a different look, more like a GI Joe figure.
Yeah, especially back then in the 80s.
Yeah, he was just like, so Glover's
like a
great.
green beret. He had the green beret look.
Green beret. Glover was in some of those things that John G. Avildsen had on his YouTube page, the tryouts, and Glover is in those scenes. So he plays Daniel Clamp, and he's in movies like Masquerade, Scrooged, Payback, so many more. High coveted working actor. And Daniel Clamp is kind of like Donald Trump, honestly. He's a real estate mogul. This is his high-tech skyrise, and owns this thing and wants to own all of New York, basically. Yeah. And so, which is cool, he's great at this role. Then there's Robert Prosky, who I love. He plays Grandpa Fred. Rest in peace. We lost him December 8th, 2008. And he's in movies like Thief, Christine, Rudy, also Mrs. Doubtfire, another reference. But he's a great actor. And in this movie, he's playing Grandpa Fred. He has like this old like vampire outfit on, Sal. And he kind of does those revivals. Those shows where they would intro like scary movies, and that's his role. They're making a show and he's always introing it, and he becomes kind of the Gremlins like his show because it's darker, because they're taking over this whole they're taking over this whole building, and inside the building there's all these other entities. And so you've definitely seen this character before, and he's great at it. And then there's Christopher Lee, well-known actor. He plays Dr. Catheter, which is hilarious. And rest in peace, we lost him June 7th, 2015. He's in movies like Dracula, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Lord of the Rings trilogy, and so many more.
Oh, yeah.
His character's kind of silly. He's a doctor, and I'll get into that, his role, but great actor nonetheless. And I'll kind of skip over a few others, but there's Tony Randall does Brain Gremlin. He does the voice, and Tony Randall was a great actor. So many movies and shows, and he passed away May 17th, 2004. I don't have his age, but a great actor nonetheless, and cool that they brought him in to do this role, because it's the one gremlin that speaks. He's very intelligent, super high IQ, and he's very elegant. And you know the way Tony Randall sounded. He's just really well spoken.
Yes.
So I think, I just learned this. Check this out. Tony Randall from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
What?
Yeah. True story.
Wow. How come you don't talk like Tony Randall, Jason?
Oh, man. I have my own voice, Sal. I'm sorry. I know. Actually, how old was he? I'm looking at it. 84. Okay. So I knew I looked it up before. I knew he was from Tulsa. Lost sight of that, but I always like that when we can have a local guy. So on the last episode, you started to talk about something that I found hilarious, but held off, and that is the Key and Peele skit that delves into Gremlins 2.
Yes.
And you were like, "Oh no, there's a funny skit. It deals with gremlins." I was like, "Hold on, Sal. It's for the sequel, not the original." Well, tonight, before we go into the movie, we're gonna kind of take a step sideways over here and watch this hilarious video that came out several years ago. Because, as I said earlier, Joe Dante said, "I'll do it. I want to do anything I want to do everything out of the sun." And they said, okay, well, this is kind of making fun of that, like how these crazy ideas came to light. And I do believe, of course, Key and Peele, played by Keegan Michael Key and Jordan Peele, I do believe that Key's character is Joe Dante. I think he's portraying Joe Dante. He's a little bit of an accent too, and I watched it again. He's got the hair and okay, he's probably being Joe Dante in the production room talking to his staff, and they're coming up with ideas for Gremlins 2. Nice. So we'll watch this. We're going to laugh. We'll talk more about it, and then we'll play the trailer, and then we'll just kind of delve into the movie and talk about it a little bit more.
Jason, you knew about this sketch before I brought it up to you?
Oh, yeah.
You did?
I came across it a few years ago and couldn't stop laughing. It may have been a reason that I went back and watched Gremlins again.
Nice.
Like, you know what? And then I had to watch the sequel because this skit was the sequel. So another reason that something can force you to go back and revisit old stuff. Oh, yeah. The purpose of this show. Like, oh my God, I hadn't thought about this movie in a while or that movie in a while. And then this is a reason to go watch it. Ideally, we're doing movies that deserve to be rewatched. Gremlins 2, yeah, sure. But we wouldn't say it's like a classic, but it's a nice compliment to the original. I would say that for what it is, is. All right. So if you're ready, we'll cue it up and we'll have some fun.
I'm ready and Stripe is ready.
Okay. Stripe ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Bear with me here.
Okay, guys, Gremlins 2. I'm telling you, this movie should write itself. The first one was a classic. This should be pretty straightforward. Basically, all we're doing is maintaining the integrity of the original picture. We want to do all the stuff with the water and the... Can we help you?
I'm sorry. Let me introduce myself. Hi, y'all. My name is Star Magic Jackson Jr. I'm the Hollywood sequel doctor. So studio just brings me in to oversee things when they about to drop a deuce. So that's why I'm here, but don't mind me. I'm just going to be over here. Y'all do your thing. It's your movie.
Okay. Let's brainstorm. Adam.
If it's going to take place in an office building, I was thinking, what if Gizmo gets wet from a water cooler this time?
Okay, hold on a second. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to step in here just 1 second, sweetheart. So what's wrong with y'all? Y'all looking like a bunch of sad sacks. This is G2, people. We're writing Gremlins 2. It should be a party with pizza and anchovies, pineapple. Just come on, lift up the spirits. Look, okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of spice into the mixture here. What if we did this? Everybody here gets to design their own gremlin.
I don't see that the gremlin design is broken.
It's called brainstorming. I'm brain drizzling, sweet pea. Okay? Shut your mouth for a second. Look, here's the thing. None of this is final.
So you mean like, what if there was like a brainy gremlin?
A brainy gremlin.
You talking about a gremlin with glasses who could talk and sing New York, New York? That's brilliant. It's in the movie done.
Whoa, you said that nothing was final.
That was before I heard the words brainy and gremlin in the same sentence together. It's done. I love it. It's in the movie next.
What about a spider gremlin?
You mean gremlin with 8 legs and a thorax just catching pretty ladies in a web in an office building? Oh my God, it's in the movie. I love it. Next.
What about a bat gremlin?
You mean a gremlin with leathery wings just flying around, flip-flopping, bust through a wall, make a perfect bat symbol in the wall, get outside, getting some wet concrete, jump up on a building and just dry in place like a gargoyle gremlin? We are cooking with gas now. I love it. It's in the movie next.
Could there be a female gremlin?
Lipstick boobies, bitch, you have me and little gremlin for JJ. I love it so much that it's not only in the movie, but it's definitely in the movie. There's no backsies on that one, no penny taxis. Yes, in the movie. Done. That's why we need a woman in the writer's room. Next.
I don't know. A googly-eyed gremlin?
What you do know, because you talk about a gremlin whose sole purpose in this film is just that he looks stupid as fuck, and yes, it can be in the movie, and it is in the movie. Done. Next. What about you, Silver Pie?
Electricity gremlin?
You said noun and gremlin, like you playing Mad Libs. You just like a child. You have the brain of a child. You do not have a high IQ, but you haphazardly came up with a gremlin that's just made out of bolts that is zigzagging all over the room and is done completely in animation. You a crazy person, and your idea's in the movie. Done. Next.
Can we put the Hulkster in it?
What? You talking about putting Hulk Hogan, professional wrestler turned actor turned cultural icon in the movie where he break the fourth wall of the movie he's in by talking to the audience. You, sir, are a raging psychopath. That's it. I don't even care anymore. We got the Hulkster in this bitch, so it's done. I don't have any more time. So let me just recap right now. It's Brainy Gremlin, Spider Gremlin, Bat Gremlin, Lady Gremlin, Googly Eye Gremlin, Electricity Gremlin, Hulk Hogan's gonna be in the picture. I'm gonna throw in a gremlin myself. Vegetable Gremlin, just write it up. I'm having so much fun, thank you. It's all gonna be in the actual film. Now I gotta go put some Cowboys and Back to the Future 3. Sayonara, y'all. Oops.
No, okay, you guys know that none of that is going to be in the actual movie.
I feel like I had to hold my laugh.
No, you can laugh. It's okay. That. By the way, if you don't see that, the tag at the end says all of that is in the movie, actually in the movie. And guess what? It is. That's what makes this skit so funny. They just took her to that level. They brought in this script doctor who comes in when studios drop deuces, which is hilarious. And yes, he does go off and help Back to the Future 3, which oddly enough we watched recently. So I took Sophia through all of the movies, and in the third one there are cowboys. They do go there. It's yeah, I'm sure he worked on it.
I think I went to I did Back to the Future 1 and 2, and I don't think I went further.
Yeah, it's tough, but you know what? It's worth a watch. It does end things, which is nice, but nothing's like the original.
I feel, Jason, like you are such a cinephile. You are such a cinephile that I feel like if you like a movie, you then feel obligated to watch sequels.
That's true. There's that. There's that. I must do this. But that skit is perfect. It belongs in this episode because
Oh, yeah.
that's the absurdity that's going on. Like that was Joe Dante being like, I love his reactions in there. He's like, or not, or we don't have to do. We don't have to do a vegetable gremlin or that's just so beautiful. And all those things are in there. So I think I watched the sequel to make sure that they really are in there.
Mhm.
And yes, Hulk
Yeah,
Hogan
yeah.
breaks the fourth wall. And there's a lot more in there. That skit could have been longer,
Yeah.
but really, really funny. Those guys are very talented. And no surprise that they're doing huge things now.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they are. Like Peele is directing huge movies, Get Out, no many others, and Key is just anything he's in is comedy gold. He truly is. And you were saying that he even did something with Obama, like
Yeah, yeah. One of the characters that Key does is angry black man,
yeah,
and so he was standing next to Obama at the lectern. I think it was during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Obama was delivering an eloquent presidential speech, and Key is behind him as
oh right,
interpreting as
yeah,
angry black man. It was hilarious. So yeah, these
Ah,
guys are definitely
top
talented people.
notch, top notch. Okay, so now let's play the Gremlins trailer.
Yes.
And if you have laughter, it's okay. And then we'll kind of go through the beats of the movie and wrap it up. But hopefully inspiring people to watch Gremlins too and maybe enjoy it.
I know I'm inspired. I'm re-inspired.
You are inspired, Sal. This is great. This is working. Okay, hang on. I got to copy it in again.
Oh,
It does not like to hold two things in the queue. So hang on.
please stand by. Technical malfunction. Please stand by.
All right, we are set. Here we go. Like the thing.
Remember the last time we told you not to feed them after midnight? We told you to keep them away from the light. And the most important warning of all, we told you to never, ever get them wet. You didn't listen.
They're mutating. Sir, is the building on fire? No, that's a false alarm.
Are you trying to panic New York City?
Absolutely not. So the monsters are real? I didn't say that.
Gremlins 2. The new batch.
Now, was that civilized? No, clearly not. Fun, but in no sense civilized.
That was Tony Randall at the end.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was Tony Randall, and that is Brainy Gremlin. You can hear
Nice.
the voice, very sophisticated.
Yes.
And so that's Brainy who came up in the skit, you know. And then yeah, you saw scientists there, you saw Christopher Lee. You could kind of see like they're in New York City. So there you have it. It's a nice trailer, it's a nice setup. And now we can kind of just go through the beats of the movie really quickly and just, you know, because I watched it recently and I'll just kind of give you more backstory. Spoilers are coming. Okay, folks, it came out in 1990. But
I'll give you one on the toy front, Jason.
Yeah.
They did actually release a electricity gremlin action
No.
figure. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it was more like it was flat, right? So it's not really an action figure and there was no
Yeah.
articulation, but it was an electrical gremlin toy. Yeah.
There is
Hey,
one. It's an
they had it.
electrical current in this movie. So
Yep.
So like I said, it starts really with Daniel Clamp. He wants to be, or he is Donald Trump at the time. This is pre-Trump. becoming president and all that. There was a time that Trump was like, hey, he's the big New York City mogul. So that's who this character kind of is.
Yeah, Trump was in Home Alone, right?
Well, Home Alone 2, probably.
Home Alone 2, okay.
Yeah.
Another great sequel.
There you go. Well, people love it. People love it. So he wants to own Mr. Wing's building. Mr. Wing, Gizmo's caretaker, passes away, and Gizmo escapes in the big city. So then going back to the original, in fact, he could, going back to that one, the dad finds Gizmo and the grandson kind of smuggles him out of Mr. Wing's care and sells him to him. They're just in Chinatown in New York. They're not like in another continent or country. So that's what's going on. So Gizmo lives in the city, but in Chinatown. But he escapes. Gizmo's on the move. Their puppeteers are doing more work. He's actually moving around now because Gizmo in the original, he's in a backpack, he's in a car. He really not much articulation for 84. Mm-hmm. So then Gizmo winds up. This is where you have to just kind of go with it, Sal. Gizmo winds up in a lab because these guys find him, these twin scientists.
Oh, yes.
He's like, and they just grab him. And now he's in a lab, and they're just like, what is this? Christopher Lee runs the lab. He's a head scientist, and they're poking and prodding, and they're going to do these experiments on him. Naturally, it's the same building that Billy and Kate work at, and this is in Clamp's building. So it's like, okay, when movies just tie all these things together, like the world's so claustrophobic, everything happens, within this little framework. So they get reunited, which is really cute. Okay, there's that. So then Billy, he saves him, and Gizmo, of course, he gets wet. And how's he get wet? Well, they talked about it in the Key and Peele skit. The water cooler gets Gizmo wet and starts to pop some other mogwai out.
Yes.
And then, of course, they eat after midnight, and Stripe's not there. Sorry, Stripe. I don't even know where Stripe is now. We've lost him.
Stripe fell. He fell off the table.
He can't believe he's not in this thing. So there's another bad gremlin leading the cause. And so it starts to kind of be that they take over the building. The gremlins are taking over the building. And so there's, like I mentioned earlier, there's a TV network in the building, and there's a TV show called Microwave with Marge. Okay. So gremlins pop up because the kitchen scene in the original was huge. The mother goes down, gremlins in the kitchen. She has to save her own life and kills 3 of them. And that's like a legit scene. Like you go back and watch that one, like, wow, okay, there's the horror aspect. Well, they're trying to recreate that here in a kitchen, a network kitchen, and one gets in a microwave, Sal, but while that's going off, guess what happens when there's fire in that type of set? What does that cost to happen?
Oh, the sprinklers.
Boom.
Oh,
and then all these gremlins start to multiply.
Oh, no.
So now more gremlins and they're in the mean type. They're the evil type. They're taking over the building, and which is great, right? So
it's what we signed up for when we
we need this. We want to kind of revisit some of this madness.
Well, Jason, it's like I used the comparison to The Walking Dead. I bailed out of The Walking Dead for a few reasons, but one of the reasons was I signed up for zombies. Where are the zombies? It's like zombies become
people
like
versus people.
There you go. So I was like, I didn't sign up for this. So when I see Gremlins, I want to see Gremlins.
Yeah, I agree. And so there's another funny, this is very meta, by the way. In the movie, we see Leonard Maltin as himself, the famous movie critic that was on TV, on, I think, Entertainment Tonight, and had his book out every year. True story. I was on an elevator with not Martin Mull, but that would have been cool. Leonard Maltin and his daughter, they have a podcast together, but this is years ago. She was much younger. And they were talking. I went and saw a movie at the ArcLight Theater in Los Angeles, and I was on this, elevator and a filmmaker was on there, Mike White, and we had all just seen this movie, Art School Confidential, whatever. So we're seeing this movie, and here's Mike White, who's become an even bigger director now. Here's Leonard Maltin. Here's his daughter. I'm also on the elevator taking in the scene, them talking about the movie they just saw. I was like, this is like so LA, right? I was like, this is crazy.
Fly on the wall.
And what's that?
Like a fly on the wall.
Like, well, yeah, I'm on an elevator. Who talks on an elevator? Because they were like slow at it anyway. And actually, the movie Art School Confidential was directed by Terry Zwigoff. And they're like, yeah, what'd you think? Well, and I was like, this is too funny. Here's like a famous, critiquer and movie reviewer. And so then I was inspired to send him a copy of Strictly Background to see if he would review it for his book, but never didn't come out. But anyway, I thought it was really funny. So there's my tie to Leonard Maltin. But in this movie, he's parodying himself, and he's on a show called The Movie Police. And what's he doing in his scene? He's critiquing and giving a review on Gremlins. He's got the VHS box, and he's blasting the movie like this movie, because in real life he gave Gremlins a really bad review.
What?
It was scathing, and Joe Dante said, listen, I'm over it, whatever. Come be in this movie and slam my movie again. It'll be hilarious. Inside baseball, very meta. So he comes on, he's slamming it, and Gremlins killing. So really funny. I mean, there's scenes like that. Like, I love that they went there. Now that could have come up in the skit, but maybe they had to cut that, skit down to size.
I like it though. I like how everybody was kind of okay with making fun of themselves.
They were okay with it. Yeah. So Gizmo again is tortured by a lot of bad mogwai, but he turns into Rambo, because you asked me about that last time, and it was in this movie he turns into Rambo, because early in the movie, when he was still with Mr. Wing, the TV comes on and Rambo's on, and you even hear Gizmo say Rambo. He's like super excited, and then we cut to Stallone, and he's like, to survive a war, you've got to become war. And so think about that later in the movie. We see Gizmo start to Rambo up. Go through some training. It's pretty damn cute, I gotta say.
They did release a Gizmo Rambo action figure.
They do have Sal, you keep teasing us, and then you have nothing to deliver.
But I want listeners to go. Hey, go find some stuff. Go find some Gremlin stuff yourself. It's all out there.
Yeah, it was really cute. I'd love to see that actually, because it was really funny. He looked like Rambo. And then, like I mentioned, the Gremlins embrace the TV show about the scary movies. And then Brainy Gremlin goes on and does an interview. So they let him live because they think his show's great. He's queuing up scary movies, interviewing them. So while that's going on, there's so many Gremlins. They're killing people. They're they're going through the whole building and whacking people, and they've really just taken everything over. So Billy, working with Clamp, and Billy's an architect and kind of getting the short end of the stick, and Phoebe Kate, what's her character? Not Kate, sorry. Yeah, it is Kate. Phoebe Cates is like a tour guide. It kind of reminds me of the Empire State Building, because I visited that many times and got on the tour and gone to the lookout. That's kind of what this, because it's a huge building. There's a lot going on. It kind of reminds me of that in it. But so Billy's working with Clamp because he's bright. He knows how the Gremlins think, and no one will listen to him. And Clamp's like, we need help. Nothing's working. And Billy and him construct a plan to trick the Gremlins to thinking it's dark outside. So they like put up a veil or something, so they can't really tell it's not light outside. And then when they get them in the window or out in front of the building, they drop it, and the sun's going to demolish everybody. That's the big plan. And I think they change all the clocks in the building. So so that's what does it. So he wins the day. Phoebe and him happy as ever. Gizmo's okay. He's saved. And he's Clamp turns out to be a pretty good guy because he wants to save the city now. And now he looks at Billy as someone he can really count on, as he probably, who knows, as he builds more things. Billy's an architect. So yeah, it's a happy ending. Oh, by the way, the Futtermans are hilarious because he's the guy that was fighting with them in the original movie, running them over in his old car. I think he even coined the phrase Gremlins in the original. But what's funny is him and his wife are coming to stay with Billy and Kate. So it's like, again, it's like of all the times for them to come to the big city and stay. So everything's just kind of like, it's just condensed and a bit like, you just got to go with it. It's like, okay, all right, everything's lining up for this, but it delivers in other ways. And the technology's definitely changed in the 6 years for sure.
It's better.
I think, well, maybe for them, I'm sure if there was a commentary that talked about just the creators or what they dealt with, I'm sure it would have been different. I'm sure they would have said, like, they weren't doing the cowboy trick all the time. I'm sure that it was a little bit easier for them to manage.
Wait,
everything.
Jason, I recently read about the cowboy trick, but I forgot what it is. What is the cowboy trick?
Yeah, we talked about it last episode. So they were doing it in the original because, like, for instance, if Gizmo's in a scene and they're going to pan down and do something else, they will, if they're out of shot, like out of the camera, they'll swap them. Like, if Billy's in a scene and they're going to do something, he'll take the current Gizmo that can only do like one thing, maybe swap him out, and then someone else will take over.
Oh,
I guess it's called cowboy because I'm sure cowboy movies, it's like you go behind that rock and then someone else will come up. It's a sleight of hand.
I see. Yes.
Right. The cowboy.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They used it a lot in the original. I don't know if they did it in here. So.
No, didn't we start talking about it because we noticed they did it on Cobra Kai with the stunt actors? I think they show the back.
Well, it
of Sam's
happens
head.
on there too. Yeah, they'll do all these pans and things.
Yes,
and
yes.
Someone's in there, absolutely. And there's no way to do it. I mean, you could just cut, or you just try to pull it off that way. But the ones they were doing in the original, you can't tell because it's like the camera pans and all of a sudden it's a different Gremlin, and you wouldn't know the difference if they didn't tell you. So very cool. I just noticed, it's funny, I didn't close the I'm in a really cool sound booth, but I was letting it air out. I never actually latched the door, so I don't know if the acoustics are different this episode, but
you know what? I think we have to record the whole thing all over again.
Reset back to one.
Kind
Anyway.
of defeats the purpose of having a booth.
Well, all of it's good and it's not loud outside. So, if it was during the day, you would have noticed something.
You sound good. I never would have known.
That is it. Those are the beats. That's the movie. It's fun. Again, I've watched so many sequels in the last few months, and it's like, wow, okay. I mean, I'm not watching Godfather 2 and saying that because that's epic. But I mean, other ones that I just didn't remember. Yeah. You go back and watch Weekend at Bernie's 2, or you were saying earlier, like Ghoulies 2, Critters 2, even Tremors 2. So many times it's like, well, this isn't as charming as the original. It's not, but there's a lot going on. It's a lot of meta. It's a lot of laughs, and they just went for it. Yeah. And maybe the skit really made it more enticing for me because it's like, oh, it's so silly. Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it and thinking, okay, it's not bad. It's worth seeing. If you want to watch Gremlins, hey, run through them both and see how you feel.
Well, because it's only 2. It's not like you got to go through 3 or 4. It's only 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, 2 is not bad. Like if let's say you loved Gremlins, didn't love Gremlins 2, would then you feel obliged to watch Gremlins 3 and Gremlins 4? I don't know if I would feel obliged.
Well, there is the show Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai now, which is animated, but it's season 1, and I don't know anything about it, but I know that's happening now. So it took this many years later to launch this. And was that 33 years later?
Well, hang on. 33 years later to launch this animation, and then 6 years to launch the sequel from the original.
Yeah, they're slow. They're really slow on the draw.
I'm almost feeling like they've lost a lot of ground with the franchise itself.
Yeah, it was mismanaged. It wasn't in high demand. And it seems like there's a lot of opportunity for figures, as you know.
There are a lot of toys.
But I'm sure the show, which was animated or is animated, spawns from the fact that Cobra Kai doing what it's done. You're going to see a lot of people. We're already seeing more. The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. I don't know anything about it, but I do know there's a show now that spawned from the movies. And there was 3 movies at least. There could have been more. So there you have it, man. And, I guess there's one more thing. Yeah. I made a note here. Well, it's not that important, but there's a funny spoof in the movie that the movie, and I watched this just recently. I was like, oh my God, what happened? Where the Gremlins invade the office building and interrupt the movie itself, like Gremlins 2 itself.
Oh wow.
And you can't tell like the film reel, like what I mean, I didn't think my film
Nice.
reel messed up, but I thought, what is this? They
No,
did a
that's
very
meta.
good job. He did a really good job of like, let's just do this too. Let's throw this in.
Yeah.
It messes up, and they get it back on, track, and then the movie continues on. And of course, the Hulk was in there, breaking the fourth wall, as talked about in the skit.
Wow.
So that really did happen as well.
Well, that's interesting. That brings up another thought. Then they have these special Comic-Con edition action figures.
Okay,
You could make a Hulk Hogan Gremlins 2 action figure.
you could.
And I don't. No one's ever done that. I don't think.
Although I think he's dressed as Hulk Hogan, but you just give him a little patch or something.
Yeah, give him maybe a little gremlin, maybe a little stripe action
He's
figure of his
holding
own.
something, yeah.
Yeah, they can do that.
And they do also do like a couple, I don't know, homages in the movie. New York, New York. They do like a musical number, and then Phantom of the Opera. So it's like,
wow.
they go there. I think if you did like a back-to-back thing or within a short span of time,
Yes.
I think you should watch them both, Sal.
I will. I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit to you, Jason Connell.
Please
Let's
do.
talk movies and Just Curious Media. I will commit. And Joe Dante. How about that?
Okay, and Spielberg.
And Spielberg.
Okay. Well, hey, that means Let's Talk Movies is working, Sal, and that's really what we're after. So, anything else, my friend? It was fun to delve down this, this Gremlins 2 journey. We talked about it, so I felt obliged because we set the stage. Like,
Yes.
I think I even said we will come back and do the sequel.
Yeah.
It's like, well, let's just do it. And showing and listening to the skit and the trailer kind of bring another element to the show.
Yeah, that sketch is pretty hilarious. But
Oh
let
my
me ask
God.
you, Jason, did they not make a Gremlins 3 because Gremlins 2 was not successful at the box office? Did that happen?
I would have to check the numbers. I think Dante was over it. Just hearing him talk about it, I think 2 is it. Like, he went all in. There's nothing else to do. It'd have to go to someone else. And now we're in the 90s, 1990, and other movies were in vogue. Were Gremlins even as popular? So, yeah, I just don't think there was a demand or desire. Spielberg really wanted to do it. He could have got someone else, which would happen now. Like, a new director is doing Gremlins 3. But financially, I don't think it was as successful as the first one, but I don't know if it made or lost money. I didn't check that out.
Well,
Yeah,
heaven
you always
forbid
ask
they
the
do.
hard questions.
No, you know why? Because I'm always thinking of what computer technology is going to do. And if they do a reboot of Gremlins,
Yeah,
there'll be computer generated Gremlins. There'll be no
that is
practical
very
effects
true.
Gremlins.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And then, I think you're losing an element there. Right, Stripe? We're losing an element there, buddy.
Stripe agrees.
He totally agrees. Yeah. You look great. You're holding up after how many years has it been, Sal? How's that like? Since 84, 85? When did he come out?
I think this action figure probably came out in the early 90s. I would say the early 90s.
Okay. Well, he looks amazing.
He does look great.
I was trying to look up the budget real quick on the second one. Maybe it would have given. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe it just can't. Well, these numbers are outdated. It has the budget estimated of the sequel, 50 million, and it has the U.S. Canadian worldwide gross is like 41.4 million. So that would lose money, but then you go to VHS, and in the end, it probably made money, but just not enough to make a third. Probably what happened. And even if they were going to do it and Dante didn't want to, the studio would have just pushed it forward. So
I feel like they just could have went super nuts with the merchandising.
Well, exactly. But, I don't know. I don't know how the merch did, but I'm assuming it did well. You helped. So that's good.
I did.
That's good. So that's all I got, Sal. That's all I got.
No, that was a lot of fun. You did say it would be fun, and you were right. You were right.
Good.
Yeah, you were right.
So without further ado, please enjoy
Gremlins 2, the new batch.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Stripe. You really deserve to make a reprise your role, to make a cameo appearance.
I agree.
But rather than doing our usual outro, we want to thank all of our fans for tuning in to Let's Talk Movies. You know, we love the reviews we've gotten. Also, the 5-star ratings are great. They take literally a nanosecond to just click 5-star on your phone, and they help us immensely. And Sal, you love that we have Let's Talk Movies social media platforms as well.
Oh yeah, well, all of the Just Curious Medias, all of the Just Curious Media shows are on all the socials.
Yeah.
In fact, now that we're talking, Jason, you think there'll be a Just Curious Media on Threads?
Might see you're ahead of me, buddy. So
something to think about.
I need to look into that. Yeah, we got to look into some threads.
But yeah, find Let's Talk Movies and Just Curious Media on all the socials, all the platforms. We're there. Jason's ready to talk to you. He absolutely is.
Ready to talk. And we also, as always, want you to check out hang on, let me bring this up. First of all, Let's Talk Movies. There's the logo. But
popcorn.
As always, go to justcuriousmedia.com. There's the logo for those watching on video. You can stream every single episode from there. Some people said, I hate all these apps, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Just go here and you can just scroll down and pick the show, and then they're all there streamable. So you don't have to deal with anything. You can also go to YouTube and watch the videos, but this is the Mecca. This is the mothership, the hub. Go there. We have all 5 shows. So it's just a one-stop shop. What else can you do, Sal? That's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think it's the place to go. It's funny when you imitate, when you do an impression of like an old guy that hates tech, you're like, I don't want to go to another app. That's me. That's me.
That's Sal, younger Sal.
No, it's true. Like I got an acting job. I got to get another payroll app for a new payroll company. Oh, now I got to get another app? Huh?
Yeah.
What is this?
We have a meme of you. Another app?
Huh? Another app for my phone. It doesn't have any more space on it.
Yeah, I think Sal Rodriguez goes to justcuriousmedia.com and just streams them. He says, screw it. I'm just doing everything. So anyway, thank you so much. Until we come back, we will not be doing Gremlins 3 because until there is one, but we'll be doing some movie at some point in time that you should watch for the first time or revisit.